Hi, everyone. We're live.
We're live.
Welcome to House of Joy.
House of Joy.
This is our first inaugural podcast of House of Joy. I'm Dr. Edie Wadsworth.
I am Emme Wadsworth.
My lovely daughter. And we are so happy you are here for us for this amazing launch. We have so much good stuff for you today. We're going to tell you all about how we came up with this idea, which was Emme's idea, by the way.
Well, loosely.
Loosely Emme's idea. We both have worked on it. We're going to tell you all about why we decided to call it House of Joy, why we decided to launch it on my birthday.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. It's my birthday. I'm 54. We are going to end the podcast with a cake. We have a cake for today.
That's my favorite part. I'm so
We have
excited.
a saying inside of my coaching program that it's always your job to bring the cake. So I brought the cake today.
Actually,
Emmy,
okay.
brought the cake.
Technically, me and Katie brought the cake, but
we're bringing our own cake to our own party. We have some fun stuff to share. We wanted to start every episode with a little confession and end every episode with 3 things we're loving. So make sure you stay till the end to listen to 3 things we're loving. We also are doing a giveaway because it's our first ever launch party, launching this podcast. So we're going to do a giveaway over on the House of Joy podcast Instagram. So tell them about how to get there.
Yeah, so you just search House of Joy podcast on Instagram, and the way to win is if you repost any of the 4 posts that we have on the account right now, and then you have to be following. So we're going to pick from whoever we're tagged in. So go repost a post and follow us, and you might win.
Yes, we're doing some Amazon gift cards. The other thing is that you could just take a screenshot or a little video or a photo of you watching the launch party and post that onto your socials. But you do need to make sure that you're following House of Joy podcast on Instagram to be a winner.
Yes.
So we're really excited about that.
So excited. I cannot believe that it's already here. We're going to talk a little bit about this, but Mom, we had this idea, and then like a week later of me like pitching her this idea, she was like, okay, so we're going to launch January 4th. And that was like a month away.
That was a month ago.
And I was like, okay, sure. And here we are.
And the one thing that we do want to tell you is that even though this is our first official episode, we have recorded some episodes already. So if you, wherever you listen to your podcast, and we would love to know wherever you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, or maybe you're just listening and you can just think about this, wherever you get your podcast. So tell us, is that Spotify? Is that Apple? I know there are lots of places to listen to podcasts.
For me personally, I listen on Spotify.
She's a Spotify girl. I'm an Apple girl. But wherever you listen, go find House of Joy. Just search House of Joy podcast. Go find it. Follow or subscribe to the podcast, and guess what? Tell them what they get in the morning, Emily May.
Oh, yes. I am posting the first, well, it's technically the second episode after this, but our first recorded episode at 7 a.m. on all of the platforms that you watch your podcasts on. So if you go ahead and follow it, you'll see that in the morning. It's super exciting.
I know. It's so exciting. So you're going to, you'll have the live launch today, and then in the morning after you hit follow or subscribe, it'll just magically come to your phone and you'll get the second episode. In that episode, we talk all about
New Year's resolutions, why we don't really make New Year's resolutions, Mom's approach to the new year.
Yep.
It's really good. It's really helpful.
Yeah.
I found it very helpful as I was a part of it, but
I
think it'll be really good for everybody.
Yeah, so that's so fun. And of course, if you can add, a review, tell us what you liked. You can even, we thought this would be a good idea, if you have questions for us, because we're going to get into this, but one of the reasons we wanted to start this podcast together is because we love the generational conversation. We love talking about things as it relates to a 23-year-old, as it relates to a 54-year-old, those sort of mother-daughter chats.
We experience things a little bit differently, and we have a little bit of different perspectives on certain topics. Usually they end up meshing right together. So
except for if you have watched one of our clips, you will discover that we do not share the same thoughts about the tabletop fire.
That I'm a little concerned about, but Mom lives her life the way she lives it, and you can't tell her
that she can't have a tabletop fire.
Yeah, no. Even if you like literally have the facts, but You live in your little world.
I do live in my little world, and I like it here. It's so good. So make sure that you give us a follow wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a review if you wouldn't mind. That would be so helpful.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions for us or any topics, any future topics that you want us to cover, leave them there. But here's what I will tell you as we sort of start out this journey together. First of all, it's been so fun already. I think we have filmed like three or four episodes, something like that. So we're finding our groove. It's been super fun. But all topics related to life, health, beauty, style, home, business, like all the things.
I think our goal is a little bit to open up the conversation with, some topics that maybe feel uncomfortable too, like between mother and daughter. I feel like we're trying to really help people in that way. So any and everything that you can think of.
As a matter of fact, you guys, we just recorded an episode about an hour ago where Emme talks about when she was really struggling in college and started smoking marijuana. Like, you really went there, girl.
And we're going there.
So that whole conversation, we're going to dive deeper, because I know people love hearing about, relationships between moms and their 20-somethings. And this is, of course, all the conversations we have are kind of grounded in our faith. So that'll be a big part of what we talk about. But we want this to be like lighthearted conversations about things that really matter to us, in a way to sort of bridge the generational gap, maybe help you do that in your family. We hope that your 20-year-old or your 30-year-old wants to listen as much as you do. And we're really excited about it. So talk a little bit about how this came about, Emme, as far as your first ideas. You have been loving podcasts for a long time.
Yeah, I am a podcast listener through and through. I think for me, I do really well when I can listen to something while I'm doing something else. It just does well with my brain. So I've gotten really into podcasts, as I'm sure a lot of people have. They're very popular right now. But as I've gotten into podcasts, I was thinking about, growing up when we were homeschooled, and just throughout me and Ellie's childhood, Mom always had a blog. And I didn't really understand it for myself, but I knew that she would post a lot on there. I honestly didn't really know what it was. I really didn't know what it meant that you had followers. I really didn't know what any of that meant. But I knew that your people loved it.
Yeah.
And nowadays, me and my friends all go back to your blog posts and we watch them. And so it's been so interesting as an adult to be going back to your old blog, and my friends go back to your old blog. And I think it's different because it's a very personal view of your life. Whereas obviously you have this big program, but it's a little more,
professional coaching. Yeah.
Which is great. But I think it's not the same thing as your old blog used to be. Yeah. And so I came to Mom and I was like, I feel like you could do a podcast that kind of shows a little more personal aspect of your life. I feel like, so I used to run your social media TikTok videos. And so I was logged into her Instagram, so I would see when people...
And what did they say all the time?
All the time. They were like, oh my gosh, please, I want to see more personal. I want to see your day-to-day. I want to hear what you're cooking. I want to hear what you're doing. So basically they want your blog. That is what her blog was.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I feel like a podcast would be a really cool way to incorporate more personal, vulnerable aspects of your life that people don't really get to see.
Yeah.
And so that's where my idea of just what the podcast could be came from. Because I know you post podcasts now.
Yes.
But they're more teaching.
And it's more teaching and coaching. Yeah. And I will still be doing those. Yep.
Yeah. So those will still be happening once a week as well.
Yep.
But I just thought it would be a cool idea for you to bring back that personal aspect. Now, when I brought her this idea, in no way was I planning on being a part of this.
She wasn't planning on being in the podcast.
It's not really my most comfortable thought to put myself out there in this way. But Mom was like, you should just do it.
Yep.
And I was like,
I
no.
actually couldn't think of a better way to sort of bring back a personal aspect that I knew would resonate with other people, like the relationship, like the mother-daughter relationship, especially since you're in this, phase of life. You just graduated from college. I just thought, like, oh my gosh, my women are going to love this format where it's like chats between us. I knew, by the way, that Emme would be busting my chops on certain things. Like, she would just be telling the truth. And I also knew that it would bring up things that I probably wouldn't even naturally bring up.
It's because we have different perspectives. Yeah. I did start like thinking about that fact that, it would be interesting to have that dynamic on the podcast. And it worked out that I was in a place. So I graduated in May. Yeah. And I had worked for you before. Yeah. And I just didn't feel necessarily right about it. Like, I was making money from doing your, I did the work. Like,
the reels and the TikToks.
Did the reels. And at the time, I was in school. I had another job. I was in a sorority. I just had a boyfriend. And then I was doing the reels, and I was about to graduate. So I was kind of feeling overwhelmed in that season. Yeah. I was like, I can't work for my mom. Like, I knew that was an option.
I think you did say something like, I kind of want to get a real job for a while.
Yeah, I wanted a real job. And I got one right after college. We kind of talked about this in one of the episodes. I can't remember what. But, and it was good for the time that it served me.
It did. You had a lot of growth, I feel like.
I had a lot of growth in, like, just my own personal, like, accomplishments. I think it taught me a lot of, like, I can do something. I can say I'm going to do something, and then I can do it well. Yeah. But about the time that the podcast came to be, I was just, like, feeling very not myself in my job. And even though I loved the people there, even though I really, liked the thing I was doing, I just felt it wasn't me. Yeah. And I felt a lot of myself, like, just wasn't there. I feel like this past year,
you weren't bringing all your gifts to the table.
Yeah, it's actually funny. Like, I feel like what was missing was, like a deep joy in what I was doing. Yes. And so by the time the podcast came to be and I was feeling like that, I was like, I think I'm going to quit my job. And I kind of that's when the podcast really, started.
Because I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have taken this on, obviously, if you didn't want to come work with us and do it with me. I wouldn't have taken on a whole other
It's a lot.
thing to do. It's a lot. I
mean, I'm learning
it's been a lot of work.
It's been a lot of work. But
fun stuff, but yeah, it's been a lot. And it just makes me so grateful because we wanted to hire you as soon as you finished college, but I knew you needed to do your own journey. And so it was like, that's perfect. That sounds great. I think I loved watching you in your other job. We talked on the phone a lot, and you had a cool space that you were working in downtown Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was fun to watch you do that and excel at that. And the people loved you there. But when you expressed the interest in doing this, I was like, she was made for this. Like, I was just so excited because I felt like it was going to be such a good broadening of your gifts. Like, again,
I feel like I could really work hard, but it doesn't feel as much like such hard grinding work.
Yeah, it's like fun work.
That's another thing about my other job. It was like I was there 8:30 to 5 every day. Yeah. And you're spending so much time working, but I felt like I really wasn't even using all of my brain. Like, a lot of the time I would just end up not getting that much done, even though I was sitting there doing stuff. It just feels like you're not using your full capacity of what you have to offer. And so I just ended up feeling so depleted in it. And it's so interesting because I feel like I actually have more things to do now. Yeah. If that makes sense. And it's more self motivational. I have to just do it on my own. But yeah, I feel so much more fulfilled in it. Yeah. Because it's something I'm actually passionate about. So I'm really, it's just insane that I even have the opportunity to do it. I feel it's just surreal that we're already
here. Well, and the other thing that I told Emme, and listen, if you're Emme's age, in your 20s, and you're trying to figure this out, I told her, look, you could do this for 6 months and go, yeah, that wasn't it either. And that is okay.
I don't know why. I just felt like, I think people my age will relate to this, but there's this big serious pressure that after college you just have to figure it out, and it needs to be serious, and you need to be serious about it.
Yeah.
And everything.
It needs to be the job.
I was just so trying to be so serious all the time. And
yeah.
I do think that your work should be like, you should feel pride in it. But it doesn't have to be so like serious. I'm 23. Like, I'm not going to have the job that I'm going to have forever.
Exactly. And that was the point that I was going to say, is that I think there is so much pressure to like figure it out. Like, what's your one job going to be? Well, listen, I went to medical school for all that time and did that job for 7 or 8 years and was like, yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah, and luckily, like, I tell my friends all the time, I've been so lucky to have you as, like, a person to watch, because you really did have that, like, stable job that everyone
respects,
really respects, and it, like, everyone thinks that that's a good job. And then you, like, put that to the side to pursue what you wanted. And that's what I grew up, like, watching. It felt so normal to have a mom who, like, chose her own path, basically.
Yeah.
So luckily, like, it came natural to me once I accepted that for myself.
Yeah.
But I do want people my age to, like, feel inspired that there's nothing keeping them stuck if they don't want to be in a certain situation. Like, obviously I had a really great opportunity with you, but I think in other ways, like, you don't have to be so miserable where you're at.
So true. And I think that the pressure that we put on ourselves because I remember you asking me, like, well, what's my title? What do I tell people I'm doing? And I'm like, I don't even know what I tell people I'm doing. Good luck.
For so long, like, literally my whole growing up, like, high school, people are like, so what does your mom do? And I'm like, she wrote a book. I never really knew
like, what
life coaching was until, like, last year.
She's a life coach.
And everyone's like,
a doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to have it all packaged up in a beautiful tied
That's
bow.
definitely still something I'm working through. I think like I still have that internal guilt that's like, you're not working enough. You're not sitting at a desk 9 to 5. You're not doing it enough. Put your little finger on it.
It's not mine.
Oh.
It's okay. I'll use Emmy's.
Yeah, you can look at this. Anyway, so I think it's a cool story that it did all stem from your blog.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, at the time of your blog, because I feel like we never really talk about your blog. Like, it's just something that either people have followed you since that time and they have known you since you were doing that, or they started following you from,
just
like,
since the coaching.
Since coaching. So I kind of wanted to ask you a couple questions about your blog, like when you started it. What was the inspiration behind that when you did start?
It's a great story because I had just quit my job as a family doctor in April. Mm-hmm. And in May, we were at a dance recital.
Oh, I don't even think I've heard this.
This is really cool. I was at a dance recital for you and Ellie, and I met Denise Vicola, who I love, and I love her daughter Kelly. Denise was blogging, and we met, we got to know each other, and you know how you meet somebody and you're like, we loved so many of the same things. She's, had homeschooled her kids, and I was about to homeschool you guys, and we just had so many things in common. And she said, you should definitely blog. You should have a blog. And I didn't even know what the word meant.
Okay.
And May 31st of that year, 2008, I started my blog.
Wow.
And it was on an old, like, Blogspot account, and the pictures were tiny, and I just started blogging and learned about it. It was kind of like, I had always been a scrapbooker and I had always been a journaler. So blogging was kind of like those two worlds. Do that. I can scrapbook and journal.
And people.
And then I built this amazing online community over the next few years because I was homeschooling you guys. So a lot of people, maybe some of you, a lot of people found me because of my homeschooling blogs back then. And it has opened untold doors for me. I'm so grateful to Denise that she told me about it. But I kind of found my voice, and I kind of rekindled these things, you know, the journaling and the scrapbooking that I had loved so much. I kind of rekindled all that, and it eventually led to a book deal and led to, you know, now my business.
It's so crazy because at the time, we basically, me and Ellie were homeschooled. So we had all of it felt like we were all of your attention. Like, I don't really even remember
You don't remember me
blogging.
doing anything else?
But it's so crazy because I'll go back. They're kind of hard to find now.
Yeah.
But
it was called Life in Grace, and the address was lifeingraceblog.com. Now, if you search something that you're looking for specifically, you can find
stuff,
it.
That's what my friends use it.
Yeah,
they will,
there's a lot of recipes
or
on
like
there.
My sisters still use it. I still use it. But every now and then, me and Ellie, my sister Ellie, will go on there and look back. And it's so interesting to see a perspective of your childhood that, like, I'm so thankful for your blog now.
Yeah, because in case you don't know, we had a house fire in 2010 and lost everything. So we there's no pictures. Like, we literally lost everything that we owned.
Yeah.
We made it out, and thank God for Katie, our oldest daughter, who helped you guys get out. Nobody was hurt in the fire, but we lost everything. And the only thing we had left was the pictures that were on my blog.
It's so crazy because there's so much that I don't really remember, but going back on the blog, like, all these memories start flooding back.
Yeah.
And I think that is the basis, the, like, vibe of the podcast that we're trying to emulate.
Yeah, we're trying to bring back that older, like, more intimate, vulnerable conversations about, like, what's going on in our lives, what we're loving, what we're cooking, what we're thinking. And so we're bringing it back, y'all, the old blog. And we're bringing back the idea of that intimacy.
Yeah.
The other aspect of this is joy.
Yes.
So when we decided we were going to do it, then we started the very tedious, long process of trying to get a 50-something-year-old and a 20-something-year-old excited about the same podcast name.
Y'all, this was really hard. And let's keep in mind. So basically, like, Mom, just the way that she does things, and I'm really thankful that you do things like this, but in the moment I was like, she is so crazy. She's so crazy. She was like, basically, this was the beginning of December when we were like, okay, we're both doing it.
Yeah.
We need to come up with a name. We need to come up with a game plan.
Yeah.
And
within 2 weeks of that, we were recording the first two podcasts. We literally
had to record and have all of this set up ready within 2 weeks. So that means we had to come up with a name, figure out the description, like, just all these little things.
Yeah.
And me and Katie, she's behind the scenes. Thank you, girl.
Shout out Katie. Katie does
Martin.
marketing for us, and she's really good friends with Emme. So then they both live in Chattanooga, and they can work together. And we love Katie.
Awesome.
So
it's awesome. Anyway, we were sitting on a Zoom call with Mom, and it was like 2 hours where we were just like
brainstorming names. I would say something, and they would immediately go, "No, that's not it."
Yeah, what? Oh, I wish I had.
I wish I had the list.
What you wrote down, because some of them were just so Edie, like, oh, we'll have to try to.
I might have a list here. Keep talking.
You were like, the joyful abundance of in your. It was just like too much, and we started getting closer. Like, I think we were doing maybe like we had the pursuit of joy. Was an idea.
Yeah.
We started like. Joy was definitely like a theme that kept getting brought up. And then I can't remember.
But Emme was like, I don't know, like, what even does that mean? And I mean, I know that we had some names related to that, but we also just had a bunch of other names not related to that.
And by the way, too, this was before anyone knew that we were doing this. So, like, we just were like just trying to figure it out. Anyway, so we finally come up with the House of Joy. I think Mom came up with it.
Well, here's what happened. I was looking back at all the old episodes of the podcast.
The old, like, the original podcast.
The most downloaded episode was House of Joy. And as soon as I looked at that, I was like, that's it. House of Joy. That describes, like, every goal I have my whole life. That I make my own body a house of joy, that I make my house a house of joy, that my relationships feel like joy. But I was thinking to myself, she's going to hate this.
And I loved it. I thought it was so good. I thought it was, like, short enough to where it, like, got to the point, but it also is so connected to what your brand is and what you teach and what you coach, I thought it was like so connected to that. And then I also thought like it could still reach my generation.
Yeah.
What was so crazy, do you remember this? After we had come up with the name, I think Katie had posted on Mom's Instagram like a little poll. If you guys have any ideas about the podcast, like let us know. And one girl, I can't remember who it is, but we could probably go back and look. She was like, I love the name House of Joy. Like,
that was amazing.
Put it in there. We had not said anything about it. And then another one had said, I think you should do it with your daughters.
Yep.
And have like, I don't know, they basically hit the nail on the head.
And we were like, well, we must have chosen right.
I know. That was when we were like, okay, I think this is going to be great because clearly we are syncing together with everybody else.
That leads me into, and I'm going to have to borrow your notes, but that leads me into just the word joy, the topic of joy. I have been obsessed with this idea for a long time. If you look back on, this was like 8 or 9 years ago, the first time I ever did a podcast series, I did a whole podcast on the word. I studied the word, like the root of the word in the Greek and from the scriptures and in the Latin. And there was something about that word that I love so much. I actually read a book by C.S. Lewis called Surprised by Joy, and his wife was named Joy. So part of the book was he was surprised to fall in love, but part of it was he was just surprised at this sort of topic of joy. So I have been in all kinds of different ways exploring that. And a year and a half ago, I hired my first one-on-one coach, and she calls herself the Joy Coach. We actually have a podcast coming out later where I chat with her. But I hired a joy coach. Like, I don't know anybody else who hires a coach to help them live with more joy and to honor the fact that they want, to live with more joy. And so that to me has been like such an important theme in my life. And I think it stemmed from growing up. I had a really difficult childhood, and I developed these coping mechanisms of really striving and trying to prove myself. I think that's why I went to medical school, so I could prove like I'm worthy. I'll work hard enough. I'll be so good they can't ignore me, or, or whatever.
Prove your worth.
And and that kind of was like my survival skill. And I'm thankful to that part of myself that is so driven. But what has happened over the last few years is that part of me has like literally driven my health into the ground. Like I've had a health crash a couple of different times. The first time happened in 2013. I think it was like the aftermath of the house fire, and I just wasn't coping well. And what I had done my whole life, which was work harder, try harder, just wasn't working anymore. And I wanted to find the antithesis of that. Like, what is the opposite of stress and striving and overwhelm? And to me, that word is joy, because joy is kind of this attitude of receiving. Whereas striving is this attitude of like, I'm always the one doing the thing, working, striving. And so to learn how to receive has been, it's the work. I feel like it is the work of my life. And then in my coaching program, I developed these concepts of true self and false self, which kind of mirror the old Adam, and then once we're renewed in Christ, the new person. And the more that I studied that and thought about that, the true self is a person who lives in joy, is a person who is willing to receive from God what he gives. And that doesn't mean, it's not like this superficial happy.
Yeah.
I think of it more as like this deep, abiding sense that all is well.
Yes.
That no matter what's happening, whether you're in a rough season of your life or in a great season of your life, that you just trusting that God's what he's bringing you and what you are receiving in life will somehow be a gift from him, and that you're just willing to receive. And because I'm such a fixer, I always want to like engineer it on my own instead of just receive. And so it's been this posture for me of learning how to do that, learning how to live from a place of love and abundance and peace and receiving. I think for me, it's been the hardest thing. It's been the hardest switch in my brain, because my brain wants to go and strive and, do. instead of be. And so anyways, the topic for me has been something that I'm really working toward. And I don't think it's, and as I've been working with my joy coach, I don't think it's something, I think it is the essence of who we all are, but there are things that cloud it. There are obstacles that get in the way of us just receiving from God the gifts he gives, receiving love, receiving the peace that's ours. I think it's the essence of who we really are and how we were made to live. And there's all these things in the way. Yeah. And my coach describes it as joy is like the sun, but then there are sometimes clouds. And the sun, it doesn't mean the sun isn't always there. It's always there, right? And so that joy is always available to us, but sometimes we can't see it because of the obstacles that we put in the way we think, the patterns that we've gotten into. Yeah, and so I feel like I want to share part of that journey, and I feel like it'll just be a good theme.
Yeah, and hopefully like every episode of the podcast can at least bring a different perspective to remove some of those clouds or, you know, give some joy in moments that don't feel
joyful. Yeah. And so a few more thoughts on that is, and these are just things that I've read or put together, that joy is that deep down sense of well-being. I love that thought. True joy is limitless. It's life altering. It's a transformative reservoir waiting to be tapped into. It requires the utmost surrender. I love that thought. It just requires that we surrender. But also, like love, it's a choice that we make. It brings meaning and light to life. It's something that we often think of with elevated emotions, but you can have joy even when you're sad. You can have joy when you're grieving. You can have that deep sense of satisfaction and contentment and that deep sense of well-being even when things, are really hard in your life. And one of the things that I think is so true is that the stress, the overwhelm, the challenges of life, the hard parts of life are a given. They're gonna come. Yep. But joy isn't a given. It's something I think that we have to get more skilled at learning how to be a receiver, learning how to accept the goodness of God, even when it seems like, that doesn't seem like goodness, but just trusting that our lives are working out the way they're supposed to.
I think we can tend to think that joy will only come when your circumstances are the way you think they should be. Yeah. So I think that's so true. It's like joy is a state of your heart. Like you have to choose to be there.
Yes. Which brings me to this. I want to read this little bit and then I want to kind of explain like what we think the podcast is about. But joy is a posture of receiving, of being open to the miracle and wonder of life. It's the opposite of stress and striving. It's your true self when you're operating from love. It's the stance of faith and abundance and a belief that all will be well. Imagine where in your own life you could create a grander, more fulfilling, more robust, more meaningful, and more joyful experience of life. Maybe in your relationships or your health or your home or your job. And I think this podcast will be a good mentor as we all seek to do this. We wrote that the podcast itself is for passionate women of faith who want to live fully in their purpose and impact generations with their gifts. We hope to remove some of the obstacles that keep you from doing that by inspiring you to live as your true self and make joy and love your ultimate goal. Stress and overwhelm and heartache in this life are a given. Joy is not.
I love it.
We're going to choose it together.
We choose joy. I'm really thankful already. I think already filming this podcast, being where we are, has already taught me to not let the stress block the way you can experience things. I think it's always hard to get to the place, and then we always sit down here and we just have so much fun because we're being vulnerable, we're being genuine, we're having these conversations. So even just I'm learning more about the essence of what we want this podcast to teach us. Y'all, it's teaching me already. So I'm so excited.
I love that. And then, of course, you bring up the fact that we decided a month ago that we're going to launch on my birthday.
Yes.
And Emmy's like, Mom, that's a month away. I'm like, I know. But I have a really interesting relationship with my birthday. And if you've followed me for very long, you know this.
This girl loves her birthday.
This girl loves her birthday. But that wasn't always the case. I think I became... Well, here's what happened. You probably know this story. But did you know that when Granny brought me home from the hospital... And she had been in the hospital, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, several days before she brought me home. But she brought me home, and I think it was the weekend. And my daddy brought home a honky-tonk band.
Honky-tonk band. I did. Isn't this in your book?
Yes.
I read this part of your book.
Yes. So my daddy brings home a honky-tonk band to serenade me.
On your birthday.
On my homecoming from
On
the
your day of birth.
hospital. So obviously, I'm going to come into the world with a lot of expectations of what people should do on my birthday. Like, it can never be topped for me, right? That my daddy brings home a honky-tonk band to serenade me because, you know, if you don't know, I created this whole room that we're podcasting in. It's called the honky-tonk room. It's an upscale honky-tonk, and I have a little picture of my daddy right over there below Johnny Cash. And I had a hard relationship with my daddy in some ways, but I loved his zest for life. That man would break into line dancing, flat foot dancing. If you think I'm crazy about how much I love country music and line dancing, you should have met him.
Yeah.
He was something else.
I know.
So, anyways, that was how, you know, my birthday started, was by having a honky-tonk band. And then we proceeded to kind of have a difficult life. Granny was trying to raise us, you know, on her own, and she did an amazing job. But I often had unmet expectations on my birthday. My daddy never remembered my birthday after that.
You always think this year is going to be
This
different.
year's going to be the year.
Yes. Like,
and then
everyone's going to remember.
Everyone's going to remember. I mean, raise your hand if you haven't had this expectation of what your birthday could be.
Well, deep down, you're like, I want everyone to make me feel good. It's
Right.
my birthday.
Right. And it came to a pinnacle when I turned 30. This was the year that your dad and I... Was it the year we married or the year before we married? I can't remember. But anyways, but I was living in Johnson City. I was finishing my medical training, and it was my 30th birthday. And I kept thinking, well, it's lunch, and nobody surprised me with balloons, so I guess they're going to do it at dinner.
It's going to be a
dinner
surprise.
And then dinner came and went, and I'm like, wow, like they must be coming late with this 30th birthday party because nobody came at dinner time.
Where are they?
Where are they? And I remember going to bed that night, crying my eyes out. Nobody remembered my 30th birthday. And then, I recovered from that and it was fine. But I remember getting to my 40th birthday and I don't know if you remember this, but I was homeschooling you girls at the time. And I was having a gallbladder attack. So for my 40th birthday, I ended up in the hospital with a gallbladder attack, getting my gallbladder out.
Yeah, that...
So I've had some crazy birthdays, but I say all that to say, I finally learned that it's nobody's responsibility to make my birthday great except for me. And it was one of the most transformative lessons that I've ever learned. That it's my responsibility, not just to create the birthday experience that I want, but to create the life that I want. Because we do this in our lives too. We just expect that everybody else is going to make it special. And I just started deciding, no, that's my job.
Well, even if everyone does everything for you, if you decide that it's not enough, or if you decide that people still don't like you, or that people didn't do enough, or that if it still doesn't meet your expectations, you're going to feel the same way.
Right.
As if
no matter what they do.
did anything.
Yeah, because turns out you're the one responsible for your emotions.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to learn that, but this is something that I love teaching other people. So for the last, I would say 7 or 8 years, I am rocking my birthday.
I know. When she said she wanted to do this on her birthday, I was like, okay, that is not the way I want to. I mean, we've literally been working all day.
We started the day out at Walmart.
Yes, like we have been going all day. I was like, okay, well, if that's how you want to spend your birthday, then... And she has enjoyed the whole day. I will say.
had a ball today.
Yeah, we've had fun.
Yeah, so... It doesn't mean that your birthday has to be elaborate. Like today, we're about to show you our birthday cake, and we're gonna have some birthday cake. And we went to Walmart. I'll do some walking. We've filmed some podcasts. Like it'll be kind of I mean, a fun day, but a regular day.
Yeah.
But last year we were snowmobiling in, where were we?
Yellowstone.
Last year before that, I told Stevie, I said, well, I've decided that I'm going to Dante's Peak in Death Valley for my birthday. Would you like to come? Stevie was like, yes, I
sure.
would. So I spent my birthday the year before hiking in Death Valley, which was amazing. So sometimes I plan something really fun for my birthday or extravagant. But if it's just a quiet dinner at home that I make and a cake that I make, I am the one who gets to be in charge of how I experience my life. And that stance on your birthday or on your life is so powerful because you realize, first of all, you're the only one who can. Mm-hmm. And second of all, who knows better than you how to give you a great birthday?
It goes right into the theme of our podcast. Like you decide
you get
the
to
amount
decide
of joy that you experience from any day.
Yes.
And your birthday the same.
And the thing of it is, you guys, and I really do believe this, I know how easy it is to let the things of life, like the stresses of life, cloud the joy that's there. But if you are willing to let that go, every single day, you can experience the miracle and wonder of being alive.
Yes.
And I just never get tired of asking myself, how can I do that again today? Mm-hmm. Again today, how can I live more in the wonder of what it is to be alive, of what it is to have. I mean, this is a miracle. What we have going on right now, that we're broadcasting this, that we have the ability to communicate with other people, to love on them, to encourage them.
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
also
crazy.
want you guys to know, because part of the reason I also wanted to do this podcast is I think, like myself, like I look at mom's attitude towards life, and sometimes I'm like, that just, I don't understand. You know, like it sometimes does feel.
Neither does your dad.
Yeah. But I think like I knew that it was the right thing to put myself in this situation because I know how everyone's feeling. I feel like I am not there all the way. I think I'm learning.
I'm not there all the way either.
No, but I think like I see you every day. I know that you experience your life the way you say you do.
Yeah.
It's not this fake facade. It's not this like she's just telling you to do all these things and then she's a different way. Like I see her every day. And so part of the reason I wanted to do this was I really wanted to like, you know, there's certain topics that I feel like I wanted to bring my perspective to hear what you have to say. Like, I think we can all get there together. Yeah. And, you know.
And even if you experienced it, because really, like, even when we think about, like, you know, it's the new year, when we think about goals, the reason we want to reach a goal is because we feel like, oh, if I finally lost the weight, or if I finally got healthy, or if I finally saved money and got my finances in order, or I finally wrote the book, then I'll feel something.
You think your circumstances are the thing that determines.
Then I'll experience life in a certain magical way. The truth is that's not true, because we can look at Hollywood at people who have the perfect body and the perfect home,
all the money
and the perfect
in the world.
spouse and all the money in the world, and they're miserable. So it's not that.
Yeah.
And
I think it just takes like a reality check to like really, you want it to be other things. You don't want it to be yourself. You don't want to like humble yourself. Like we just did a journaling episode, and I think sometimes that's why journaling is hard, because you have to face yourself and realize that really for the most part you're the problem.
Yes,
in most of your problems
it's like the Taylor Swift song, it's me. Hi,
I'm the problem, it's me. Yeah, but it is really like that. Like you don't want to,
but when you acknowledge that you're the problem, you get to be the one to fix it. And I think what happened for me is, for so long in my life, I was just living from my past, and I thought I had to. I thought, well, this is my story, and it's true. So I guess I have to live. There's facts here. So I guess I have to live from it. And then I realized, no, like infinite joy is available.
Yeah. And we're on this journey together. I think I also think it's really nice that we can sit here and be vulnerable together about it. That like, you know, you can tell me when there's a different perspective. I can tell you when I feel like your way of looking at things doesn't make sense to me or whatever. But it's nice to have that accountability.
I think I want to mention one more thing, because I do think this is important. What I have realized since I have been on this sort of joy journey is that not only do I experience deeper, more fulfilling emotions, but even the negative emotions, I am way more resilient. Like I'm just more resilient it's almost like when you expand your ability to feel the negative emotions, you expand your ability for the positive emotions too. And what I think happens is your life just gets bigger. Your experience of life just gets bigger. And what comes to mind when I say that is what it's like when we're with the babies. So I wish you guys could peek in on when the girls and I, or even just me by myself, or Tom and I, when we spend a day with the little babies. Like
everything is so magical.
It's so magical. And I think the reason that we can experience it that way is because of some of this work that we're willing to do. Like we're willing to acknowledge when life is really hard or sad, and we're willing to feel those emotions. So then when we have these amazing elevated emotions, like we literally sit there and baby talk and scream and oh my gosh,
probably so annoying if you're not,
probably so annoying,
but it doesn't matter.
But we have so much fun with those babies, and I'm just thankful that I got myself to a place in life where I wasn't numbing myself out, where I wasn't living so much in my past. I can't imagine not enjoying them to the level that we do. Yeah. I mean, we were in this very room on Thanksgiving night line dancing with the babies. Eli loves to sing and dance, and we're holding baby Noah, and like, to me, you could give me $10 million and I wouldn't trade an evening like that with my family for $10 million.
Yep.
Because that to me is what it's about.
I love it.
So,
well, that was amazing.
That was amazing.
So glad that everyone can get a glimpse into why we're doing this.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives you a broader, deeper scope on like why we wanted to create this podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm just so excited.
I am too.
For you guys to listen, and you can watch them on YouTube too. And just hear your feedback and hear what you guys want to talk about and what topics, we can try to open the door on, shed the light on, move the clouds away.
Yes.
So
the cloud movers. Oh, we're finishing each episode, by the way, and then we're going to have cake. But we're finishing each episode with 3 things we're loving right now.
I'll just go ahead and give you guys a sneak peek into the episodes that we've already filmed.
Oh, good idea.
Well, no, I was just going to say, every time I give my 3 things, they're materialistic, literally what I'm using in a week. And Mom's is my journal, my devotional. I've been loving this quote in this book. It's really inspired me this week. And mine are always my shampoo. So if you're thinking anything else, no, you're getting literally I'm looking at my list and I'm
yes, go ahead, Emme. Share the 3 things you're loving.
First one on my list is so I got nose surgery 3 weeks ago?
I forgot that you were sharing this. Okay, go ahead.
I got nose surgery 3 weeks ago. And
deviated septum surgery.
Yes.
Emme was having a lot of nosebleeds.
I was having nosebleeds. I couldn't breathe, and so I got that fixed, and I still kind of can't breathe. So
listen, the recovery from that surgery was no joke. She came and stayed with her mother.
No, literally every night I was just crying in the bed, making Mom make me milkshakes. It was dark, but
it was a dark time.
Anyway, one good thing that came out of that recovery is you were had to do these nasal rinses that, to keep everything clean out there. Well, there's not a day that's gone by since 3 weeks ago that I haven't done one of those nasal rinse.
And I too am obsessed with the nasal rinse.
So is she.
Yeah.
And
it's like a neti pot, except
you can
high pressure. It's like a high pressure.
So you can squeeze it in up there. I'm so sorry for the visual, but I'm just here to be honest. That anyone in my life
changing
knows
your
that
life
it's
right
changing
now.
my life. Everyone that's come over, I'm do you have one of these?
I try to push them on everybody too.
I mean, you
should all be doing your nasal rinses.
It's incredible,
Katie. We made you do one today.
It changed your life. It's life-changing stuff, okay? And I'm just trying to help you guys out, okay? Another thing that I've been obsessed with, like, listen, these get really spread out because thinking about what I do use every day, I'm just trying to be honest. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm like obsessed with Coke Zero, and I've never been with lime or lemon.
Okay.
I've never been a soda person. Like, like throughout childhood, I was never. I mean, we never ever have soda, and even when I would go out, it was like sweet tea that I wanted or something. Here lately, a Coke Zero
is just hitting,
it's overtaking me. It's kind of annoying because like I've just never liked it and I didn't care, and now every meal I go out it's Coke Zero. Every thought on my mind is like, oh, that would be better with a Coke Zero.
I think they might put something in those.
I think part of it is like when you go so long without something and then you like
you get it and you're like, what is happening?
Is amazing. Anyway,
okay, number 3.
Number 3 is I've been obsessed with Chris Stapleton's new. I don't even know if it's that new, but kind of new.
You sent me,
album.
you or Aunt Jamie sent me his new album. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I love what I've listened to.
Actually, I have to shout out my best friend Kylina's boyfriend for this one because Carson is the one who put me on to this album.
Okay.
And it's so good. Obviously, Chris Stapleton is amazing, but I've had that album on repeat.
I love it. Okay, my turn. Number 1, if you're watching on video.
When did she put those on? When did she put those on?
These? I love these with all my heart. My daughter Ellie knit me these wrist warmer. What would you call them?
Yeah.
Fingerless gloves, wrist warmer. First of all, they're the color of my birthstone, garnet. I wore garnet today for my birthday.
You did. You
by
look
the way.
So good. Ravishing.
Thank you. So I got my garnet colored.
She walked out, first of all, she walked out of her room in this outfit with the gloves on, and I was like, oh. Okay. That's something. She was like, no, it's just my favorite thing.
So, and Ellie and I discovered she knit herself some too.
Yeah, no, I think they're really cute.
They're really cute. Ellie discovered this is the best thing to wear while you're knitting, girls. So I taught Emmy's friends.
Knit yourself a pair of gloves so you can knit in them.
Knit yourself a pair of gloves so you can knit in them because it like just cushions as you got your hands together. I feel like it's a little bit like wearing wrist splints, just a teeny bit.
Yeah.
So while you're knitting,
yeah.
I'm going to wear these to New York, by the way. Oh, I guess I'll need
You probably will need
in my
full
gloves. I'll probably need full gloves.
gloves.
Okay. Second thing I'm loving is, let me pull it over here. Chatbooks, you guys. I'm obsessed with chatbooks.
These are a hit in our house.
These are a hit in our house. You can download, this is not a sponsored link, but you can download the Chatbooks app and then you can start printing pictures from your year. So I made a 2023 book and everybody, when they were here,
what an
is that
exposing
you?
page.
Oh, there's Emily. Wake surfing.
Thanks.
But everybody that was here for Thanksgiving and Christmas.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. This is so cute, you guys. So I mean, I know not many people print pictures anymore. But
wait, I have to expose Mom on this one too because she doesn't have time for to do anything. I'm like very much a perfectionist in my heart, and Mom is not.
And I am not.
You just basically click through your pictures.
I just click through your pictures.
And obviously, she posts a lot of Instagram stories. So if you flip through the books, half of them have captions.
Half of them have Instagram captions.
It'll be like
not
fun
half.
day.
But some.
The other one was worse. She did try to fix this one, but
here's the thing.
It's so funny.
I know myself, and I'm going to lose interest in clicking through pictures. So I just do it as fast as I can and get it done. And then I have a book.
And then there will be one picture, and someone's like...
And then someone's like, yeah. But then it's done versus if it took 2 hours, I wouldn't do it.
No, yeah, totally.
Okay, last thing that I want to share with you. I got to get this. I got to get my glasses on for this one, y'all. I'm reading a book right now on Audible called Wintering. I love this book. She's an excellent writer. The person who reads it has a British accent. I love an audiobook with a British accent.
Wait, I have a question because this is a debate of people. Do you think listening to a book on audio counts as reading a book?
Oh, 100%.
Some people don't think so.
100%.
Okay, good.
This book is amazing. It's called The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. And she makes a lot of references to like people who live in really harsh, cold climates. And Dad, of course, grew up in Minnesota, and it's really, really cold up there. And they usually have a lot of snow. And the people, like, I've always wondered, like, how did the people survive up there homesteading?
Yeah.
You know, when it's below 0 degrees, it's snowing all the time. Like, it's just sturdy people who can survive in this. And I feel like they're so good at wintering. And of course, you know, Grandma Vadney is the one who taught us all how to knit. And if they do a lot of knitting because there's nothing else to do and it's cold. So anyways, I have kind of embraced this sort of idea of wintering. And your dad and I have been in squabbles this week about it because he's like, why are we here? Why don't we go to Florida? Why are we staying here in this cold place? You know, I mean, it's not even that cold here. But I have come to love winter. Like, I love the nesting part of it. I love, you know, I have lots of those battery operated candles and Christmas lights. And I love walking in the cold. Like, I do a ton of walking in the cold. And there's something about cold weather walking that I love. So I've been listening to my audiobook called Wintering in the, it's cold outside in the cold. Usually Dad and I are out walking and Tom is driving the 4-wheeler, you know, back and forth as we're walking. But I have loved this book. So if you need a book to read, try this one. But I wanted to read a quick little quote from the book just so you can get a little bit of a feel. Catherine May is the person who wrote it. And it says, winter is a time for doing those deeply unfashionable things. Slowing down, letting your spare time expand, getting enough sleep, resting. All of these seem like a radical act, but are essential. This is a crossroads we all know, a moment when you need to shed a skin. If you do, you'll expose all those painful nerve endings and feel so raw that you'll need to take care of yourself for a while. If you don't shed that skin, then that skin will harden around you. Like, her writing is so good. And just the concept of like, we need that season of wintering where you can't necessarily see all the growth or see like what's going on in us, but we're going inward. You know, we're doing the work. For me, you know, I've committed myself to doing a lot of writing in the next couple months. And so that kind of deeper work that you can't really see the results of. Anyways, I've enjoyed that book so much.
Love it.
Yeah.
Those are our
There's my 3 favorite things. Okay. Tom is going to bring us our cake. Come over, Tom. Bring us our birthday cake. We saw.
Wait, should we move that book?
Yeah, let's move our book so it doesn't get icing on it.
Mom is just now.
Oh, let's see. Look at this beauty. Can you see that, Katie?
Oh my gosh.
I got it. Can you see that? Yeah. House of Joy. And here's what we're going to do. I saw this on Instagram,
She's
y'all.
just now discovered.
I've just now
the
discovered
wine in the cake.
The
trick.
wine in the cake trick.
Oh,
it had water in it. Sorry. Stevie was not impressed by this.
He was like, "Oh, that's it."
He's
hey,
like,
watch out.
I said, Stevie, watch what we're going to do on
you
the
coming to do it?
live podcast tomorrow.
Okay, here,
and he's
come
like,
sit in the
okay. And I'm
middle.
like, we're going to take the cup and we're going to get our piece of cake right like that. And he goes, that's it? Like, yeah,
Okay.
that's it. So here we go.
Here, should I? Let me get into Mom. Are you gonna do it?
I'm going to do it.
No. Okay, I want to do it. No.
Oh, you guys, look at this. Here, I'll do it for you, Tom. You going to do it? It's okay.
Well, it's kind of hard to like.
Go ahead, Bubby. Go easy, though.
Very satisfying.
It is, isn't it? Okay, all the way down. Good. Turn it up.
Oh, don't drop it.
Careful, careful. Okay, you got it. Okay,
Okay.
here's your fork.
Well, you want to do mine, Tom?
Yeah, I'll do here. You take this.
Okay.
You take that. I'll do yours.
This seems like not an easier way.
I feel like this is kind of an easier way. And I guess we could see House of Joy is born on my birthday.
It's
Emily
born.
May. Happy birthday, House of Joy.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Happy birthday, Tom. Oh, it's not your birthday. It's my birthday. I hope you all enjoyed my birthday
was in October.
as much as me. Yeah, I enjoyed your birthday, too.
Birthday.
Yeah, you
Do
did.
you like the cake, Tom?
The ice cream tastes like ants to me.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Next episode drops tomorrow at 7 a.m. So go to your favorite podcast app. subscribe or follow, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
Bye now.
Bye.
Love y'all.